Everyone has a good story to tell, and you know it is a good story when the person leans in and says, "See, what had happened was," and then tells the story.
This podcast provides those opportunities to tell those types of stories in education. The stories will be from the good, the bad, and everything in between. We wanted to do this podcast to showcase stories in education and to give flowers to educators who deserve recognition for their excellence.
Our guests will feature parents, students, teachers, administrators, and just about anyone who is involved in education. These stories will inspire you, challenge you, and help you to reflect on your practice of education, whether it be from the inside of the classroom or outside.
If you have a good story to tell, we'd love to hear it. Email us at contact@andredowty.org. We'd love to have you or your story on a future episode. See What Had Happened starts now. Welcome to See What Had Happened, where we hear stories in education from the good, the bad, and everything in between. We're your co-hosts, Danielle and Andre Daughty. If this is your first episode tuning in, welcome. If you've been a part of the family since season 1, welcome back. We have truly missed you. We're on all podcasting networks and YouTube. Make sure you click like, subscribe, and share it out to all of your friends.
And you gotta share it out because that's what homies do. That's what family does. Like when we like something, we share it. So make sure you subscribe and share it out. It'll help other people notify us that they're watching, and then those algorithms that every social media site has, it helps with the share out. So make sure you share that out. We appreciate you.
All right, today we have a special guest joining in on the fun, Mrs. Angela Houston. Angela is one of the best leaders in the country, ranging from a second grade teacher through an instructional coach, an assistant principal, a principal, and at the collegiate level. Angela focuses on reaching the students where they are and investing in their gifts through success. Her fingerprints in education can be found all over Oklahoma City, as many of her former staffers are now administrators and leaders in their own communities. Hey, she's also an AKA. Hey, Soror. She now serves as a principal in the Western Heights District. Let's welcome Mrs. Angela Houston to the show. Hey there.
Hi, how are you all doing? It's so good to see you all.
So good to see you too. Now, for the friends and family out there who may not know, Angela Houston is the one who hired me to be a teacher way back in the year of 2000. I go to this school called Eisenhower Elementary, and you know we always talk about Eisenhower Elementary. Well, here's why. I'm a young green kid coming here, and she's like, "Let me see your portfolio." And I hand her this big old binder portfolio to her. And she just turns one page and then she closes it. She says, "Now tell me who you really are." And I'm like, "Wait, time out. I just worked all my life of college in Langston on this binder." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. That's good stuff. But tell me who you really are." And so we ended up having a conversation about who I really was. And by the end of it, she says, "Oh, yeah, you're going to be a good one." So I don't know how she knew way back then that I was going to be a decent teacher. But that's this Angela Houston. Do you remember that?
I do, and I can't take full credit for that as well because Miss Wesley was in that conversation as well. So she was, I believe, I was assistant principal at that time. So, yeah, she was the last person to say yes, because I was like, "Yeah, we need to hire him." And she was like, "Yeah, I think so too."
Oh,
so
okay.
That's how that.
Shout out to Miss Wesley.
Shout out to Miss Jessie Wesley. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
Well, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Whatever details you want to share, we're game for it.
Okay. Well, I started my career at Eisenhower, just as you said, as a third grade teacher. I taught 2 years. And then I moved to second grade. I taught 2 years. And I moved to second grade because I was starting my master's program to become an administrator. And ended up being an administrative intern my 5th year there and assistant principal that following year. So my whole career is kind of centered around Eisenhower. So in 2000, that fall, I got my first principalship at Dunbar. And then I was asked to go back to Eisenhower in 2002 as the principal of the school. So I thought, hey, I'm going back home. So I'm going to take this opportunity. Well, lo and behold, did I not know that Eisenhower was on the state needs improvement list and had been on there for quite a while. And so had to take on that charge. And I was there from 2002 to 2011. And then I went to Capitol Hill Elementary from 2011 to 2016. I resigned from Oklahoma City in 2016. I had to move home to help take care of my dad after my mom had passed away. So I resigned from there, went back home, and ended up working at a place in Bartlesville, Oklahoma that grew up in that area, was like, I really want to work at ConocoPhillips. I've always wanted to, growing up, like, this is a big building. I want to be a part of it. Ended up as a human resource associate at ConocoPhillips. So I was there for like 17 months, sitting at a desk in corporate America on the computer.
Oh, that had to be weird.
Oh my gosh.
You're up and around kids all day and
yes.
And
so I'm taking phone calls and answering questions I had no idea the answer to. And that was a train wreck. The people there were nice. I loved it. They said I could come back whenever, if ever I wanted to. I had a job at ConocoPhillips. I'm like, push come to shove, if I have to move back home again, I probably would go back, but not by a desk. I can't do desks. So ended up going to Independence Community College, where I was the director of Upward Bound, which was back in higher ed, but I was working with high school students and getting them on a college or career track. And that was pretty awesome as well. Also got Mr. Daughty to come speak to our student success program, which is part of, it's not Upward Bound, but it's part of the, and my brain just went fog. It's part of, making sure that the students in college are successful. So Upward Bound, it starts with Upward Bound and then it goes into student success into college. So they loved Andre Daughty. So they were asking him, they loved Andre Daughty. He got to go to Independence, Kansas, and that's where he ended up driving right through Lenapaw, Oklahoma, where I'm from. Lenapaw is a very small town in Nowata County, and so I'm pretty sure he has some pretty interesting
so one of the funniest things during these Eisenhower years, we would always talk about, she said where she was from. She said Lenapaw. And we're like, we're from Oklahoma. We've never heard of the small, tiny town of Lenapaw. So a friend of ours, Warren Pete, and I used to make fun of where Lenapaw would be. And it would be everything from Russia to Alaska or anywhere outside of Oklahoma. And so to actually drive through Lenapaw, it's like, well, I can't no longer say that it's from Russia or Lenapaw is in Alaska.
Now, here's the question. Is there a Chick-fil-A there?
Here's a better question. Is there just paved roads?
Oh.
So it's almost like Brooksville-ish.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So in Lenapaw, there is one four-way stop in the middle of town, and it has a post office on the southeast side of the stop sign, and across from there is the volunteer fire department, and then the school that I grew up in is down the street. They tore down most of the school. I think the gym, there are 2 gyms that are left there, and one of them is a museum now. So, no more Lenapaw High School.
Yeah.
So all of the kids go to a school that has merged with Juan, Oklahoma, and it's called Oklahoma Union High School. So kids are here from Oklahoma Union. That's where a lot of our kids are going to at this time. So
interesting.
Just very rural.
Oklahoma history for you right there.
Yeah.
Y'all didn't know that either.
Rural.
I know y'all didn't know
very
that.
Rural. Very rural. Yeah. 26 in my graduating class.
Wow.
I was the only person of color in my graduating class.
Wow.
Culture shock. That was me. I was in a culture shock. So I had to. And I say all that to say that was the beginning of me understanding, there is some cultural issues that go on with people.
Mm-hmm.
And now, going through Oklahoma City for 22 years, and then going to ConocoPhillips, which was predominantly a Caucasian environment, going to Independence, Kansas, which was predominantly a Caucasian environment, and then coming back to Oklahoma City, where Western Heights is a Caucasian predominant administration. So I'm like, okay, I see a lot of the inequities that are happening with our kids. And I wouldn't have known that had I not been hired, had I not had that experience at NEO and at Central State, which is now UCO. That dates me a little bit. And then going through Oklahoma City Public Schools and seeing that our children of color are not treated the same. And it is still happening, and you all know this. I mean, it's at my school at John Glenn Elementary. When I got there, it was a predominantly white staff, and I don't know if y'all know me and my track record. I got to have some color in there.
Right.
I've got to have.
It's got to be the diversity.
It has to be a gender balance too. So this building now, I have. See how many I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 black males on my staff.
Wow.
I have 1. I have to count them off. I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people that speak Spanish.
Okay.
That are fluent. And, I was intentional with that, making sure that the staff matched the students.
Yeah.
And everywhere I go, that's what I have to have in order for my kids to get the best, and that they are treated, fairly. They're treated with respect. So, yeah, that's where I am now, with my staff.
I love it.
I just hate that our kids have to be subjected to educators who basically don't take the time to learn, who they really are.
Right.
So this training that we're doing, it's called cultural competencies, having these courageous conversations. And he's leading that, Mr. Davis is leading that. And we just had one yesterday, and the room's like really quiet, It's very sensitive stuff. It was white fragility is what he was talking about. So it's really good. So I'm gonna do this real quick. I know I'm supposed to do this at the end, but do y'all mind?
No,
not at all.
Yeah, go ahead. Go and plug them. Go for
it. He suggested these books. So I'm getting ready to read this book, The Atomic Habits by James Clear, and Nice Racism by Robin DiAngelo.
Okay.
So I'm getting ready to read these. So I'll let you guys know after I get through reading those how if that suggestion was, something that could be used.
Yeah. And DiAngelo's book, she's the one who wrote White Fragility, and it became a bestseller.
Okay.
New York Times bestseller. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's her like companion book to that one.
To White Fragility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so since this is See What Had Happened, that's where the good story starts. When someone kind of leans in and says, see what had happened was, and that's going to be a great story. So set us up for the story real quick. Is this you as a teacher? Is this you as a parent? Is this you as principal? You as a student? Set the story up for us.
Okay, so this was my first year as a principal at Dunbar. And I had one of my fourth grade teachers out that day, and we had a sub in. And we'll call the Miss Sub. So see, what had happened was it was an afternoon. The kids were, the sub had taken the children to where did they go? They went to the computer lab. Miss Redding was my computer lab teacher. So I'm in the office trying to get a report done for Dr. Touré. Linda Ware Touré was my executive director at the time, and we had some some kind of report that we had to do. So I'm in there feverishly trying to get this report done. The buzzer rings, and it's Miss Redding said, and this is how she sounds. I need Miss Houston to the office to the computer lab immediately. And I'm like, because with the way that my office was set up, my office was here, and the intercom was right next to my door. So my secretary, Miss Miles, I know everybody knows Miss Miles.
Miss Miles, okay.
Miss Miles answered, and she was like, Miss Houston, Miss Redding needs you in the office. Do you want me to go up and see what's wrong? I said, yeah, would you do that? I'm trying to get this report done. I'm steady typing. And at that time, it was not a computer type. It was a sitting typewriter. So this was back in 2000. So just keep that in mind. So Miss Miles goes upstairs, and the next thing I know, there was a buzz. I'm like, what are they doing? What do people know? I got to get this thing done. So I said, office, and Miss Miles said, Miss Houston, I think you need to come up to the computer lab, and I think you need to come right now. I said, okay, I'm going up to the computer lab. So I go up to the computer lab. And I'm like, what's going on? They pointed to the sub. Now she's leaned over like this, eyes closed, not moving. So I'm like, okay, what? I don't get it. They said, we can't wake her up. So. You what? They
right.
said, we can't wake her up. I said, oh. And I didn't say, I said, oh, okay. I said, okay, Miss Redding, take the kids down to the room. I said, let's get them out of here. She gets the kids out. This little boy named Gary, I'll never forget him, screaming down the hallway, Miss Sub is dead. Miss Sub is dead. I'm like, get them. And I'm like, boy, shut up. I'm going to go to class. So Miss Miles and I are standing by Miss Sub, right? And I'm like shaking her, slapping her. And I'm not talking about just, I'm slapping this woman. Now you have to remember, Miss Sub was probably 80 years old. Yeah, 80 years old. So slapping her and shaking her, and she's not waking up. So, I missed the best part. Okay. I'm sorry. I missed the best part. Okay, let's rewind. While we're on the intercom together, I went back downstairs. That's what I did. I went back downstairs. Miss Miles and Miss Redding came back because she had another teacher watch the kids because she was coming back to help. So I said, okay, I'm going to go call 911. You know, I'm going to go call 911. You guys stay here with her. They're looking at me like, okay. So I call 911. I call Dr. Teray to tell her what was happening because anytime we had to call 911, we had to call our director. So I'm on the phone with the 911 operator. And she says, okay, tell your staff to lay her on her back. I get back on the intercom. I said, hey, y'all, the 911 operator says to lay her on her back. Miss Miles said, her and Miss Redding looked at each other talking about, I'm not touching her. I'm not touching her. I'm like, you guys, you got to do this. Yeah. Miss Houston, you're going to have to come back up here. So I'm telling the 911 operator, look, just tell them to come in. The door's open. They can come in. We're upstairs. I go back up there and get her on the ground. By that time, here come the paramedics up there. And they recognized her. So this wasn't the first time. They pinched her under her arm, and she woke right up.
What?
I mean, she woke right up. And she
Weekend at Bernie's?
She goes, where are the kids? I said, oh, no. I said, Miss Sub, you can't sub here anymore. You cannot sub here anymore. This is your last day. Please do not answer the sub line when they call you again.
Oh, my goodness.
And the fact that it was under the arm.
I think I died internally about 3 times that day. And then Dr. Teray comes over and she's like, okay, Miss Houston. She's so sweet. So you're gonna have to write this out as an incident.
Incident report. Yeah.
Write an incident. We think the sub is dead. We call 911. And I mean literally shaking this woman But she had to, she had to drill. She was leaned over. I thought she had a heart attack. No, she wasn't there. She was asleep.
She's asleep.
They recognized her. They took her home. She never came back. She never came back. I told her,
She told her not to answer that subline.
Yeah. When the subline comes, decline.
Yep. We blocked her from that whole thing. Yeah. So that's what happened my first year as a principal.
Wow.
That was, like I said, I think I died 3 times that day. And then afterwards, we had to laugh about it.
Right.
It was not funny at the time. So my advice to first year principals is just be ready for anything and everything that happens.
Because it's going to happen that first year.
Because it's going to happen.
It's going to definitely happen.
She'd been wait, this woman, okay, now check this out. What's the sad part is she was the best sub that we had. No, seriously. Anytime Miss Sub would come to sub, we had no problems with the kids. I don't know what she was telling those kids in the classroom. I don't know what, no problem. In any class she had gone in, she was the best sub. We had to let her go.
Wow.
Because she scared us.
Yes. Oh, that's funny. That is absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. Well.
Oh my goodness. Some of the best educators in the world are people you've never heard of. They may not be on TV or get the National Teacher of the Year awards, but we want to give those teachers their flowers today. We know the sacrifice and the heavy lifting these educators go through daily. With that said, we present Sprout Outs.
All right, Miss Houston, which educator would you like to sprout out this episode?
Oh, I have 3.
Okay.
I have 3. Okay, so I'm gonna try to do them in the pecking order here. The first one is Jessie Wesley. Jessie Davis Wesley has been my mentor from day one and still is my mentor to this day. She is my bright star. She is brutally honest. Anything that I ask her, I know I'm going to get the truth, and it might hurt, but I take that from her because I trust her judgment. I value her. She's awesome. The second one is Dr. Linda Ware-Touré, because if she hadn't taken a chance on me being a principal or assistant principal, I wouldn't be where I am today. I would not be. And her guidance, her professionalism, she used to scare me to death being my director because I never wanted to get in trouble with her. But I truly respect her and love her dearly. The third one is Dr. Rochelle Converse. She is the one that challenged my whole being. And she made me realize that if you don't follow up, I'm gonna write you up. Yeah. So always, from that day on, when she asked me for 1, I gave her 2. So she's the one that kept me focused and data driven. That was my data queen. She and I developed a tracking form back then, because we have all these
right now
electronic
technologies.
Yeah. Right. It was called a Student Academic Profile Sheet, which was published in a book. I don't have that book here to show you, but I'm so proud of that sheet. I still have some teachers, Gwendolyn Hill, that uses it to this day with her students. Yeah. So my staff at John Glenn, we used it last year. We haven't had the chance to use it this year because I have so many new teachers. So, but we're going to be using that form as well.
Those are 3 great shout outs. Wesley, she practically family for all Eisenhower.
Yes.
I love about the connection for all 3 of them. They were very, during professional time, stern, straight, by the book. It's about academics, kids. Who cares about your feelings? Straight up.
Right.
Off of academic time, they would cut up. And I was like, wait a minute.
Yes.
Dr. Touré, you cut up like this?
Right.
I never knew that. Because the only time that I'd seen her or Dr. Converse or Miss Wesley was during the school day. But
Yeah.
as soon as those kids were all gone, and it's like 5:30, and you're one of the last ones leaving, they were cutting up just like how you cut up. I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're 3 great ladies.
Good shout outs.
Absolutely.
Very good. We believe when one wins, we all win. We want to help you win. So, Ms. Houston, how can others follow you on social media? Is there anything you'd like to plug? Do you have books, a website, seminars, channels, whatever you want to do?
You know, I am a part of the Principal's Desk on Facebook, which is, I get a lot of great ideas off of that. Since I've been out of the game for a little while, I'm right back in it again, which I said I would never do. And never say never, because you'll find yourself right back doing what you said you'd never do.
Right.
So on that, I really like Edutopia, because it's a quick read, and I share those articles with my staff, and it can be anything. Right now with COVID, we can't do a whole lot of traveling as far as education wise. I really, in thinking back, staff development for educators was probably the best conference that I've gone to, because it gave you a little bit of everything, and people were like running over other people trying to get into these seminars and things, which is something that I want my staff to experience. That professional networking type thing. So that's kind of all I can think of off the top of my head right now.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, both of those are great spots. If you're on Facebook, Principal's Desk, really good resources, really good conversations as well.
Yes.
And then Edutopia, resources galore. I mean, you name it, you type it in the search, someone's probably written an article or two on it. Well, we've reached another episode of See What Had Happened. Make sure you connect with us on YouTube. Throw those comments in there. We're also on all social media. We're also on all podcasting. So Apple, Google, Spotify, Pandora, all those places. You can check us out. Find us there. We really appreciate you all watching. Once again, thank you for Angela Houston for sliding in and hanging out with us today. And don't forget to join us on the next episode of See What Had Happened.
Bye.
This podcast is a proud member of the Teach Better Podcast Network. Better today, better tomorrow, and the podcast to get you there. You can find out more at teachbetter.com/podcast.